Expedition 33 was developed by Sandfall Interactive and published by Kepler Interactive. The game was released on April 24th, 2025, and immediately was met with overwhelmingly positive reviews. I recently had the opportunity to play through the game. I want to voice my thoughts on it. Before we dive deeper into the review, I want to make it clear that in this first section, there will be no spoilers. Early gameplay sections and cutscenes will only be shown now. I usually don't do this for my reviews, but as this game is fairly new, I will talk about the game broadly for those who are on the fence about the game like I was. Hopefully this will encourage you to purchase and play through the game. Is Expedition 33 worth playing? I would wholeheartedly say yes, it is very worth your time. From the cinematics, music, characters, story, lore, fight encounters, and so on. This game does everything very well. The open world, I would find myself exploring for hours and hours, finding new areas and awesome things to do. Boss fights in this game are hectic, but so satisfying to take down. Compared to most single-player games, this game has such a well-thought-out story and so many twists and turns. Unlike The Last Jedi subverting our expectations bullshit, this game does them amazingly. The point where on multiple occasions I would think one thing was going to happen, and then the complete opposite would occur. During all of this, the player then gets to listen to some of the most hype music in gaming. Besides certain companies like From Software and few others, it is hard to find games that have great selection of broad music types. Play a few examples as I talk about them, but we'll dedicate an entire section of this video to the music. In high intensity boss fights or random encounters, the player gets hyped with this uplifting and morale boosting music. The player is exploring the open world, somber music can be heard. This to me also seems to have some mystery to it in its notes, with sections of chorus really lifting up the idea of how grand the world is. Last point I'll make in this section regarding music is the sad moments. There are definitely times when dark or saddening music can be heard. This helps to elevate the dialogue and high attention moments between characters and or enemies. While there are thousands of things I could talk about regarding the game for those who have never played, I want to give you the opportunity to experience everything on your first playthrough. Even though I get some comments from time to time on my KOTOR videos for not spoiling, know that my first playthrough, which only happened a few years ago, would have been slightly tainted if I had knowledge beforehand. Now, let's get into the review.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Before we cover the characters, story, and onwards, we'd first talk about the basics for those unfamiliar to the game. For most of the intro, the player is meant to walk around and be in awe of the beautiful and intriguing world. It's not until the expedition where the player can fight and move around the open world. As the player goes through the game, they'll add new party members to their roster. In fights, the player is allowed up to 3 members. For those daring to fight solo, that is possible. Maybe an upcoming challenge run idea if you guys like the review a lot. The map is broken into various areas that the player can enter, which is generally indicated by a swirling portal. Since we are covering the basics, I won't delve into the differences between each, but in most scenarios, the player will fight a boss or two. When a fight is initiated, the player is then thrown into a turn-based match. During your opponent's turn, the player is able to dodge and parry enemies' attacks. There are 4 ways total, which I will talk about in the detailed section. This attack can target an individual or the team as a whole. The player has 6 equipable ability slots for each character, so it's good to mix and match these to your advantage. Buffs and debuffs can be applied to the player and bosses. Certain buffs can speed a character's turn meter, while another can make the boss's attacks more powerful for a few turns. Clothing and armor in this game is purely for show. It doesn't switch up or boost characters' defenses. Instead, the player relies on their stats, Pictos, and Luminas. Simply put, each of these will help the player deal more damage while receiving less, alongside buffing in various aspects, character speed, taking an extra turn, and so on. Last thing I'll mention in this section is that each character has their own set of unique abilities. Mael can switch stances between defensive, offensive, and virtuose. Verso, probably my favorite character in the whole game, both gameplay and story-wise, levels up as the match goes on, starting from D tier all the way up to S tier, where he can get the most damage. Lune I found great for healing the team as a whole, alongside some great area of effect attacks. I could go on, but I just want to cover the basics here. Now, let's move on to the characters. Subsequently, I want to give a few sentences or more on each character. This way, as the story and narrative are being described, things will make a bit more sense. I will avoid the major spoilers for characters until the story section. We'll share it as the game intended, slowly learning as the plot progresses. Gustav, one of the many members of the expedition party. He's the first character that you will play when starting the game. At first I didn't realize it, but it's Charlie Cox that voice acts him, aka Daredevil. Wishes to stop the Paintress at all costs, using his mechanical arm that can harness lightning. beginning. Sophie, Gustav's love interest. She's turning 33. Before I continue with her and other characters, I need to semi-explain a few things for you to understand. First is the gommage. Every year the gommage will sweep through Lumiere, killing everyone over the age. Over the age of what? Well, the paintress sits near this monolith, and every year she drops the number by 1. Anyone over that age will slowly gommage into flowers. Now, just from this intro / prologue, I feel there is such rich content for hours and hours to talk. But let's not get away from the main subject of simply explaining characters. Simply put, monolith ticks down in number, people unfortunately pass away. Emma, Gustav's sister, and someone in Lumiere with great importance. She worries dearly about her brother and Mael's well-being on their expedition. Mael, Gustav's quote-unquote sister. They are not blood related, but treat each other as they in fact were. Compared to the rest of the expedition crew, it consists of people who are over 30 plus years of age. Mael hasn't graduated high school yet. She is excited yet extremely nervous of what's to come. Paintress. Sitting far in the horizon, the paintress wallows in despair next to the monolith, holding the fate of Lumiere and the whole world in her palms. The next 5 characters will be in the player's party, although one of them is more so for navigation around the map. Lune is a mage that harnesses various elements to empower her attacks. Join the expedition to gain further knowledge on the world, documenting what she's found. So secretly, she wishes to find out what happened to her parents. Using dark arts, Ciel has one of the more interesting sets of abilities in the game. Using the sun and moon to her advantage, she's able to inflict devastating attacks. Ciel wanted to join the expedition to take down the paintress, avenging her late husband. SKA is basically the transportation within the open world. He can be talked with and asked to join the expedition. As the player goes through the game, they will unlock various upgrades such as swimming, diving, and flight. He wishes to help people and is known for being one of, if not the best fighters in Lumiere. Urso, hands down my favorite character in the whole game. He's a mysterious rescuer to the Expedition 33 party and ends up joining them. In combat, he has some of the flashiest moves, which just go super hard. He aims to stop the paintress in her tracks while helping the expedition party research the Nevrons and locations. The party questions him at the beginning since he has been able to counteract the gommage's effects. What does this mean? How can he do that? Stick around as the story section is right around the corner. Onoko, Urso's friend and longtime companion, uses Nevron's feet, the creatures the expedition party encounters, as attacks. Very From Software Miyazaki type move by the developers. Jokes aside, he was an awesome party member to use. As Verso's friend, he wants to help him alongside take down the paintress. Along the way, he becomes closer and closer to the rest of the expedition crew. The white-haired man. As soon as the Expedition 33 crew land on a beach after leaving Lumiere, a mysterious white-haired man appears, nearly annihilating everyone. Who is this man? Why does he attack us out of the blue? How has he become so old when everyone else is around 30 years old? The Curator, one of the helpers of the expedition crew, can be initially found in the Manor, which is a whole topic in of itself, but for our purposes now is a key progression route for the main story. The Curator helps the expedition crew train alongside upgrading weapons and the amount of luminas the player can hold. The Mask Girl, a serious girl next to the white-haired man. She wears a mask. It is clearly visible that she was in some type of accident long ago. Who is she? Why does she conceal herself? Next are some other characters that are notable. These next characters I want to mention because yeah, they are just badass as heck. Mask Keeper. Within the Visages, which is before reaching the paintress and the monolith, the player has to defeat one of the 2 axons that protects the monolith. The whole area is awesome, but then you get this boss fight and you're like, oh my gosh, this is 20 times even better. The second axon is a lackluster fight in comparison to the other one, but the lore in Coliseum that she sits in is just beautiful to witness. Basically, she charms the people that just try to fight her. In Verso's words, I've seen people fall off just from looking at her. There were these strange Lovecraftian dudes that their whole job is just to fly you from one place to the next. This whole section strangely reminded me of those weird moments in Bloodborne and Lords of the Fallen. More so just like, alright, yeah, this dude's just attached to this UFO flying disc and is flying me around. Time to accept this strange otherworld type shit. Noko, a party member and a merchant trader. He's a Gestural, one of the more friendly inhabitants in the world. Simon. Not gonna spoil it yet, but just wanted to throw his name out there now. Now these are some of the many characters in the game, both major and minor. I wanted to briefly explain them and some of their motivations, as the upcoming story section will make a lot more sense. As this next chunk of video will be the longest, grab some popcorn and get ready for the fun, awesome, and sad moments of Expedition 33. As the player loads up the game, they are greeted with this awesome soundtrack. which helps to set the tone for the game and what's to come. At the start of the game, the player gets an overhead view of Lumiere. The perspective slowly settles onto Gustav, the main character of the prologue. Maëlle, Gustav's close friend that feels like a sister, comes to him asking why he plans to talk to Sophie now, especially with the gommage so close. Clearly some feelings still linger. Eventually, Gustav catches up to Sophie, who is adored in a rose necklace. The two chat as they approach the harbor. Celebration of life can be seen. The gommage imminent, loved ones hold on to each other tight, knowing this is the last time they will see each other. Gustav and Sophie were no exception, as Sophie was 33 years old. Everyone embraced each other as the paintress rose up, turning the counter down from 34 to 33. With the Expedition 33 members preparing for the trip, Gustav catches up with some people along the way. Journals given to him by his apprentices so that he can document his findings to show them. In the end, Gustav's sister Emma gives a rousing speech, inspiring them of their sacrifice and courage to take the fight to the paintress. Final thing we see in the prologue is the Expedition 33 members landing on a beach, slowly taking in the landscape. Almost out of nowhere, a white-haired man appears, nearly annihilating everyone. Few are able to get away, and even then, the chances of survival are thin. After a near-death experience, Act 1 continues Gustav's story, with him waking up far away from the beach. As he investigates the surrounding area for survivors, he comes into contact with a few Nevrons. These are meant to help the player familiarize themselves with the combat mechanics if they didn't get a grasp of it at the beginning. That was definitely me on my first playthrough. Subsequently, Gustav finds members of the Expedition 33 party and from past expeditions. Unfortunately, all were slaughtered before our arrival. Gustav questions the fate that he was handed. Thankfully, Lune snaps him out of it before an enemy can get the sneak attack on them. Because Gustav found Lune, he felt more confident than ever in his pursuit to rescue Maëlle. This is when the players start to have access to the open world, though at the moment it is very limited. Making our way through this underwater-like area, an ominous door can be seen. Unlike anything else surrounding it, Gustav and Lune hesitantly enter. What they uncover baffles them, a mansion in an almost pocket universe. Why is this? Where are they? Well, stick around and let's find out together. Maëlle can be found on the right-hand side of the second floor. Once the three reconnect, a strange man blocks the doorway. Maëlle talks with him, revealing that he is the curator, lives in this house. He offers to train the party as the battles ahead will only become more difficult. Before they leave, Maëlle asks the curator for his services back at the camp. He is unsure of his answer, but hopes to see him there eventually. Within the first act is Maëlle's nightmare, a series of cinematic cutscenes around the campsite. Maëlle sees a bunch of things happen all at once. A mysterious man and woman, and herself falling before the paintress weeping. He wakes up and talks with Gustav, hoping for some comfort and help. Talk about the white-haired man and why he wanted to take them all down. What were his motives, they questioned. Gustav makes Maëlle promise that if they see the white-haired man again, that she will run and not look back. Jokingly agrees, though Gustav really meant it. The curator can be talked with at camp, upgrading weapons, lumina, and tints. The curator can be really helpful. Weapons at this point in time are about +5 to 10. Lumina, oh dear gosh, I'll talk about this way more in depth later, the detailed section, but let's just say I didn't realize what it was meant to do until near the end of the game. Eventually, the crew make it to the ancient sanctuary, hoping to find the gestural village and survivors along the way. The area is maze-like with numerous gestural mech suits walking about. The final area before the village has the Expedition 33 party take down their ultimate warrior. It was more so a fun fight for them rather than a scary experience. In the end, they laugh and celebrate their victory. Once inside the village, the team talks with Golgra, the leader of the gestrals. He says that if she wants our help, we must enter the tournament and win it. We reluctantly agree. The tournament was a 1v1 battle, so I would often choose Maëlle as I really enjoyed the different stances in the early game. One thing that you may or not have noticed is that our damage can only reach 9,999 at this point in time. There are lore implications on why I can't go higher, but wanted to mention it here. Because yeah, once you get that singular attack that deals over 10 million damage, you feel like you're on top of the world. The final round of the tournament, we were tasked with taking down a mysterious stranger, Golgro would put it, so we go in blind. As it turns out, the challenger is Ciel, one of the Expedition 33 party members. All of them chat, but are interrupted as the tournament still needs to have a victor. The two of them clash until ultimately Maëlle emerges victorious. Because we beat the tournament, Golgro offers to help us and tells us of Eski's location, a great warrior who may be able to help us on our journey. They eventually find and talk with Eskie. Turns out to be quite the personality. He says that he needs a special rock, and after a series of events, joins the expedition on their their journey. Now the team sets off for Stonewave Cliffs. Before they reach the cliffs, Mile asks to make camp as she and the other members are tired. Gustav agrees and they settle down for a while. This is when we witness the second nightmare for Mile. I think for this specific cutscene and others in the future, I want to showcase it in its entirety. Why, you may ask? Well, like the Revan reveal in KOTOR 1, I feel it would be far more impactful to witness it firsthand, rather than me explaining it. For those who have never played the game, I urge you to listen to the dialogue. Once you understand the story and play through the game, this all makes so much more sense.
And free, sins forgotten, and thus absolved, a fresh dawn in their playground, while we live in shadows, swimming in ink. We are but a fragile dream, a singular weed, resisting, ever resisting. Iron dirt, that eternal law. Those who can't see, those who know not, that they are not. Do you know? We are fellows. Those who know not, that they are not.
What does the masked woman mean? Who is she? Why is she friends with the white-haired man? These were some of the many questions that were swirling around my head when I first played. I'm sure many others. Everything from the dialogue, mystery, and music, the scene is one of my favorites, especially remembering my first playthrough. I think from this scene alone there could be hundreds, if not thousands, of different things to be said. While we are just in Act 1, this is around the point where I really started to love/enjoy the game. Near the beginning, I must admit I was a bit skeptical of the game, but as I slowly unraveled the mystery of the characters, story, and world, truly felt like a gaming experience like no other before. Stonewave Cliffs is a pinnacle moment in the story for a few reasons that I'll get to shortly. Gustav learns that a previous expedition used Ferris wheels as a method of transportation, so that is why this area is blanketed with them. At one point, the expedition crew comes across a shadowy visage standing in the open. Speaking with a young boy, he talks about the paintress and her creations, while ultimately he goes silent. There are various locations that we will see the young boy, man, and woman around the open world, each with little bits of lore to be learned. While I won't go through all of them, I will definitely mention the more noteworthy interactions. Then by the end, I will reveal their identities. Nearby to the end of Stonewave Cliffs, Askia warns the expedition crew of a dark threat further in the region. The team cautiously pushes forward when BAM! Lampmaster ambushes everyone and a fight ensues. Now for some reason, I read it or interpreted it as Lamp Bearer instead of Master, like in the case of Lords of the Fallen. I was like, damn, that's actually really cool that they share a similarity, then noticed my mistake. And between the two games, personally, I think Lampbearer is much more ominous, alongside being more interesting. Let me know your thoughts below. Which name do you think would be the best? The game pulled out some Millennia Phase 2 shenanigans, like, okay, I thought I was done here, when bro just rises up to shit on our day once again. Needless to say, I was a bit shook. What shook me even more was that after the fight, when Mile and Gustav are alone, the white-haired man appears and absolutely messes up Gustav with a single blast, catching him off guard. Mile begs Gustav to run. He looks at her, with no words, says all that he can. I'll let some of it play now.
Run. Please run.
Why are you doing this? won't yet understand. But this is a kindness, not a cruelty.
You let her come. You know she's too weak for this. How could you let her take such a risk?
You only care when things are right in front of you. My sweet child, you were supposed to stay home. I told you not to worry. But since you're here now, just stay put.
What are you saying? You must go home, now. This does not involve you.
I'm sorry you're caught in the middle, but I did try to warn you. It's been a while. Stay out of this. You chose to walk away. You don't get to come back now and interfere.
You've lived more than a lifetime. It's time to let her go.
It was a sad moment, but even to the end, he gave his all so that Mael would live. Speaking with Mael, he shares, "You won't yet understand, but this is a kindness, not a cruelty." Partly showcases how little we know of this world, alongside the members who inhabit it. Like, how could it be a kindness? Is this man deluded? Well, at this point in the story, as mentioned before, we just don't know enough. So stay tuned to find out the answers. Before the white-haired man can finish off the rest of the expedition, Serious Man appears, seemingly protecting Mael, Lune, and Ciel. Tells Mael it's safe to return to her friends. Then the stranger and the white-haired man speak. For the first playthrough, this is basically a bunch of gibberish at this point. Like many other lines, once you understand the story, the dots start to connect. Yeah, the devs made one hell of a story. I mean that in the best way possible. Back at camp, Mael and others grieve the loss of Gustav. Lune and Ciel remember old memories when suddenly the stranger from earlier appears, returning Gustav's mechanical arm. He offers them guidance towards the paintress, and immediately is bombarded with questions. He reveals that he was part of Expedition 0, the first ever trip to the paintress. They question how old he is, alongside how he has not gommaged. Stranger also reveals that Renoir, white-haired man, was his commander on the first expedition. Mael pitches in, noting that if she wants to kill Renoir, he must first take down the paintress. Because of all that information, the stranger feels obligated to share his name, Verso. The second act stars Verso as the main character. As Verso talks with Mael, let me mention a few things. Immediately, I was really interested to see his ability kit alongside the synergy that could be built with the rest of the team. Of the 3 acts, this has the potential to be the beefiest among them. I plan to talk about just the main story by this point, as this is when the open world starts to really open for the player. Why, you may ask? Well, this is when SK is able to swim. Later, he gets an upgrade to swimming by being able to smash through coral reefs, an obstacle to other areas. Because Verso saw how grief-ridden Mael was after Gustav's death, he offers to bury him in a beautiful sanctuary past the forgotten battlefield. As they enter, members of past expeditions lay motionless on the ground. Strangely, these people don't gommage when they pass, instead almost crystallize. Mael questions the death indicate everywhere they go, emphasizing how sick and tired she is of it. Verso and Ciel try to comfort her when an enemy ambushes the team. This was definitely an awesome fight. Both the atmosphere and boss were incredibly satisfying to witness. It was a massive surprise to see him pull the Pontiff Sullivan, wielding 2 blades, a fire and dark blade. Gosh, that was epic. That finishing move, ooh, the cherry on top. At last, the team made it to where Verso mentioned. They bury Gustav, leaving his arm as a memorial. Each of them says a few words, noting his wisdom and sacrifice. Rest easy, Gustav. Afterwards, with the crew tired, they return to camp. All of them think of their next plan. Verso suggests going to Old Lumiere, since the paintress's heart can apparently be found there. Before they do that, they must reach Minoko Station to link up with Verso's friend. Away from prying eyes, Mael thanks Verso for showing her that beautiful spot. Verso reveals that he buried many friends there. He questions why she joined the team, as the others had to, as they were all 32 years of age, while she was half. Anything but staying in Lumiere was what she wanted, so she set off with the other members of the expedition crew. Mael ends the conversation by gifting Verso with a badge, officially marking him a member of the team. Because Minoko Station was in between Old Lumiere and the team's current position, I set out for there next. He turns out to be a Gestrel that Verso met long ago. Since then, the two have become great friends. After Minoko challenges the team, they are ambushed by Stalak. Minoko is eager to have some more action. With the team now ready to take on the upcoming battles, they head towards Old Lumiere. This was once part of the main Lumiere, aka the prologue, was ripped apart during the fracture. Gameplay wise, there isn't much going on until the very end, as there are numerous cutscenes with the rich lore, but we don't have time to delve into each and every cutscene, rather summarizing key events in the story. I want to focus on the last cutscene and boss fight. As the player progresses through the area, team members will slowly become separated by accident. Mael then becomes the playable character, and we must now navigate solo to our objective. Eventually, Mael comes across a manor. As she approaches, a strange woman leaves the front door, inching closer to Mael. Verso rushes in trying to help her, but is useless. Renoir, the white-haired man from the beach, converses with Verso, asking was this really his plan? Sooner or later, Renoir asks Verso if he's told her the truth. Let this part play out.
How many times must you hurt our family?
No, you don't get to lecture me on family.
Why do you refuse to see I am doing this for us? Yet you insist on rushing toward death. You're trying to stop the wrong cycle.
You're doing this for yourself.
Of course. It's easier for you to think that, isn't it? Easier to betray us if I'm the villain.
So move. I'm gonna fucking kill him.
You haven't told her the truth. Have you, son?
Sorry we're late. We were busy doing a bit of reading. Were you planning on sharing that this man, the man who murdered our team, is your father?
Family is not my favorite topic. Right, can we talk about this later? I'd really like for you all to survive this.
Ultimately, a battle breaks out, and gosh dang, he lived up to the hype and mystery from earlier. In the end, Renoir, extremely angry, questions why Mael refuses to accept who she is. Mael, caught off guard, has to be saved by Verso, when all of a sudden time seems to stop. The manor door slowly opens, and masked girl reveals her face. Mael, piqued with interest, asks for her name. Instead, the now unmasked woman touches her, revealing the dark truth behind her scars. Subsequently, the expedition team head to each of the Axon locations. There are technically 3, but for purposes of the main story, only 2. I'll talk about these simultaneously. Visage Island. This was a really cool yet creepy location to visit. From the plentiful faces constantly staring at me to the disturbing enemies that roam about, kept me on my toes at all times. Initially, the player is greeted by the Mask Keeper who serves the Axon in the area. He helps the team by giving them some guidance, telling them to head down each of the pathways. Once each of the mini-bosses are defeated, the player can now properly fight the Axon. While the first phase was really cool, I found it not to be all that difficult. Though once it's revealed that the Mask Keeper was the Axon all along, shit really hit the fan. Surin. This area really intrigued me. It had some Lovecraftian elements, which was really cool. These dudes were attached to these flying UFO things. Instantly, I was hooked. This location is meant to progress the story, alongside hinting at Verso knowing where Lune's parents could be. Their inn can be found at the very end, and it's one of the more strange boss encounters in the game. Rather than using brute force, she charms her enemies. It did take a few times, mostly because a few phase 2 attacks caught me off guard hard. In the end, with both Axons defeated, the team can now take on the Paintress. Breaking the barrier before the Monolith, Verso, Mael, and the other members head towards the Paintress. As the team walks towards her, they prepare for the toughest battle they've faced yet. In reality, every attack the team sends out towards the Paintress, she nullifies them. Exhausted and out of options, the team questions why this is. It's revealed that she isn't the true paintress, rather an idol or a puppet. Because of this, the team pushes into the monolith. As they enter, the previous locations that the team has visited will be found, though these are like tainted versions of them. The paintress will be shown interacting with the mysterious shadowy figures. They conclude that these must be your memories. Story-wise, this was really interesting, but I have to say, it did feel like an absolute crawl to get through to the end. There are 2 boss fights, finishing off Renoir, then the paintress. Renoir messed me up more times than I care to admit, same goes for the paintress. There are a lot of important lore tidbits that are shown back to back. Rather than me explaining it, I'll show you to better illustrate the story.
It's not her. It's your sister, your mother, me. We are your family. You would condemn us all to die for what? Who do you really save with your sacrifice?
Your sister and your mother?
You're too drunk on your own illusions to understand.
At long last, we meet. This is all you have left of your son. Destroying it won't bring your wife back. It will only destroy the last tie you have to each other.
Curator. Renoir. He mentioned the curator's wife. She's the paintress. You've come back. But the fire. Are you really here? Or is he? Or is he playing tricks again?
Yeah, holy crap, that was awesome to uncover as I progress through the story. I won't go super into the Paintress's boss fight quite yet, as I plan to delve more into the detailed section, but want to mention a few things here. Usually when a boss is going to attack, it'll say like, blank attacks swiftly, or blank fires void orbs or something. The Paintress has a few attacks that just completely caught me off guard. What the hell? She tears apart reality? Like, gosh dang, Expedition 33 devs. I can only enjoy your game so much. Seriously though, this reminded me of those awesome moments in the Soulsborne games when the player fights God or some heavenly being. The Paintress defeated, she slowly limps towards her son, eventually falling before him. Clutching her in his arms, Mile walks over to end her suffering. In her final moments, she calls out her daughter's name, Alicia. The team then heroically places the Expedition 33 flag, forever marking a key victory. Back in Lumiere, everyone is overjoyed with the return of the expedition. Celebration honoring the heroic actions take place. Lune and Ciel talk with their friends, while SKA is admired by the crowd. Mile walks up to Emma, sharing the unfortunate news about Gustav's passing. As this is going on, Verso reads a letter that the masked woman gave him. This cutscene reveals everything and so much more, so I'll just let it roll now.
Brother, I tire of the conflicts and deceptions that plague our family and theirs. So, I entrust you with this letter. Whether you give it to her is up to you. I'm at peace with what's to come. When the time comes, I hope you will be too. Maya, it's a strange feeling watching you with my brother, laughing and smiling, without the scars or the memories that afflict me. Alicia, as she was meant to be, not this painted version that I am. My family, a facsimile of yours, and this world, a mirror, painted by your mother, the paintress, to stave off her grief. Seeing your expedition through would plunge us all into the abyss. For in ridding the world of the paintress, you'd lose the sole force standing against the one who would erase us, the one who invokes the flowers of the Gamash. An act of love, for he does love her. Your father. On her monolith, she paints a warning for us all, of the few she can save as her power wanes. We all wish for our families to thrive. Your family, however, believes only one can survive. But perhaps you'll find another way. You who have lived amongst us, perhaps you differ from your father and your sister, as I differ from mine. Your mother paints life, whilst your father, death. What will you paint?
As the quote-unquote celebration comes to an end, the player gets a glimpse into the past at Monolith Year 49. Alicia wakes up from a nightmare involving Verso, revealing that she's in fact Mael. Well, you'll understand shortly. Leia, her sister, calls out for her. She asks Alicia to go inside the painting so that she can save them. Then we see the truth and origin of what we do not know.
She'll still find it, but I'm impressed. This only truly ends if you destroy the carriers.
She's a girl. She's a girl. She's beautiful. What a lovely voice. My love, did you decide on a name?
Yes. Oh, my darling girl. We have precious little time together. You'll never know us. But I want you to know that you are loved. I want you to know you're not alone. You will always be the beautiful child I held in my arms. You will smile the brightest smile. You will cry iridescent tears. You will know love, and you will know pain. You will know loss all too well, because we live in an unforgiving world. But you are strong, and you will survive. You will struggle, and you will learn. You'll find people to call your own, and you will shine as their guiding light. For you will change the world, and the people around you. You'll forever be our princess. I have decided on her name. And her name will be... Mael.
Holy guacamole, that was insanely cool learning about Mael/Alicia. Verso's story about the house fire, that's why Alicia has the scars and the whole family misses Verso, and so on. My first playthrough, this was a crazy twist that I never saw coming. Another thing that I was thinking about after fighting the Paintress was that because Verso wasn't real or something, that he would gomage. Said everyone else did. To sidestep a bit, this game handles subverting expectations much better than some other media. Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi. So much so that most of the twists I found myself personally not expecting, and most of the players enjoyed the revelation, rather than a 50-50 split. Now let's talk about Act 3, which has Mael as the main character. Compared to the first and second acts, this one can be much shorter. Why, you may ask? There's basically one area to go towards. So yeah, it's quite simple, but epic as hell. With Mael and Verso being the last two people, they sit alone on the bench speaking about the painting, world that they live in currently, alongside their father. This is the point in the game where the player is able to use painted power, an equipable Pictos that lets each character deal more than 9,999 damage. To summarize the subsequent story beats, Mael tries to persuade Renoir, ultimately failing. Using her new Paintress powers, she resurrects the Expedition 33 team, vowing to take down her father and Old Lumiere. This is the point where the player gets the flight ability, and all areas of the map are accessible. I spent a lot of time exploring areas. Yeah, let's just say I went to the Endless Tower a bit unprepared, and took down some bosses, which was very fun. Since this is the story section, I'll jump ahead to when we get into Lumiere. Remember how in previous areas there were expeditioners with their lives drained? Well, Mael was able to use her newfound powers to lead a charge on the Old Lumiere. On Eske's back, the team rode to where it all started. First off, the music in this area slaps so hard. I'll let some of it play now. At last, we get to Renoir, the final showdown in the game. For the boss fight, Mael pleads with him to stop this madness. He insists that he's only doing this to protect her, so even him being in the painting has damaged him over the years. Subtly, he's telling the dark truth about being in the painting. Besides it being one of the more interesting boss fights in the game, I was able to finish it on my first try. In the end, Mael convinces her father to leave the canvas, the promise that she will leave shortly afterwards. This is when the portal that Renoir opened, Verso decides to enter. The true heart of the painting, Verso spots a boy painting on a canvas. He walks up to him saying, "It's time to stop painting." Similarly, I'll let this cutscene play out.
You're tired of painting, aren't you? I'm tired too.
That's... You shouldn't be able to be here.
Mamon's gift.
Why did you run in? It's dangerous for you here.
See things as they are, not how you want them to be.
What?
You lied to your father.
No.
You saw it too. But he wanted to believe. You're going to die here. Why don't you just leave? You can always come back.
The moment I leave, Papa will erase this canvas.
This is not worth your life.
What life? My life of loneliness in a shell of a body, with no voice and no future.
You're Mael. No matter where you are, you don't need this canvas.
But everything I want is here. Here I have a chance to live, Verso to live. Up there I merely exist.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices.
Stop quoting Papa!
It's time to stop painting.
Verso! Papa also said, hold on to each other.
Old friend, you've traveled miles, spinning in circles. Your blind eyes on the dial, stripping
I'm sorry.
out colors. But it's time to say goodbye until next life.
After the cutscene, the player gets to decide the fate of the canvas, siding either with Mael or Verso. My first playthrough, I went with Mael, so I'll talk about that first. When Verso is defeated, he starts a gommage. Mael holds him in her arms, so he doesn't want this life, continue this nightmare. Ultimately, it's revealed that everyone is alive. Gustave, Sophie, the citizens of Lumiere, and so on. Everyone gathers in the opera house listening to Verso playing the piano. In a dark twist, Mael can be seen using the full power of the canvas. In this dystopian world, everyone is alive and is subservient to Mael. Not gonna lie, that did jump scare me a bit. They revealed the twist. Really cool though. Ultimately, this is the evil or dark ending. What if the player chose Verso instead? If the player chooses to side with Verso, they will relive the same fight from the opposite perspective. Compared to the other ending, this one I enjoyed a lot more. Even though it is rather sad, it is the good ending, so I tend to stick with those more often. Unlike Elden Ring, may chaos take the world! For this ending, I'm going to let the cutscene play out, though I will clip some sections. Because gosh dang, was this a thought-provoking ending.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, huh? You've got this incredible power to paint. You'll never have to suffer a life you don't want. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
miss you guys.
Now before we dive into the gameplay details section, alongside my final thoughts on the story, let's dive into the side stories. Here I will give a few sentences or more talking about each character. What are side stories? The player is able to make camp in the open world. Besides leveling up weapons and skills, the player is able to converse with each character. With each interaction, Verso and that character's relationship level will increase. Why would you want to spend time doing this? Well, to get to know the story and characters more if you are interested, alongside getting some unique gradient attacks. Talk about those more shortly. Final thing I'll mention is that some of these side stories have missions associated with them, which are really awesome to experience. As Verso converses with Ciel, he learns a few things. Her late husband passed away, whom she really adored, and her fear of water. Ultimately, it's revealed that she was in a dark state after her husband's death, and just swam and swam until she was tired. If I can find the specific cutscene, I'll showcase it. When the player rests at the camp after Ciel's relationship is leveled up enough, it's revealed that SKA saved her from the ocean. Which is a really neat detail, showcasing they met previously in SKA's noble side. Ciel and SKA are the only characters without mission-specific quests. Lune is an interesting character. Verso learns that even from a young kid, Lune was always interested in researching and writing notes down. As the game progresses, there are numerous instances where Lune tries to help expeditioners in the future by writing notes. She has a quest near one of the Axons, specifically Surin's dress. That's a tough boss fight. The team learns the fate of Lune's parents. He grieves, but ultimately thanks us for showing the truth. Mael has one of the more fascinating side stories. She has a quest where the team visits the third Axon, who towers above far in the sky. Revealed that Alicia is fascinated by it. Sooner or later, Alicia invites Mael for a playful duel, where Mael learns more about herself. Eventually, Mael realizes that she doesn't want to be in the painting anymore, so with Alicia's blessing helps her out of it. Verso is crushed by this, but ultimately accepts her decision in the end. For the three characters with side quests within their story, this one really tested my skill out of the three. The player has to head out to the sacred river in order to resurrect Noko, the gestural merchant and friend of the team from earlier in the story. If you may recall, in Old Lumiere, he actually got annihilated by Renoir. When they arrive, Golgra, leader of the Gestrals, forces them to stop. That's when Verso and Minoko get into one of the more tough boss fights in the game. Took a few tries, but eventually she allowed us to resurrect him. SKA's side story is meant to upgrade Verso's gradient attacks, alongside giving the ability for SKA to dive underwater. They would bond over their adventures over the years and the new friends they've made. The story in Expedition 33 I really enjoyed, from the mystery and intrigue of the Paintress to the teamwork of the main characters. This was one unique and memorable game entry. Then there'd be more than a few times where I'd guess the story was going one direction, and bam, it would throw a curveball going the complete opposite direction. Just from the story alone, I would recommend this game. Writers and developers made something with passion, alongside planning out a consistent story, which in this day and age can be hard to come by. With the story's lore under our belts, let's talk about the gameplay. going into detail. First are the various ways in battle that the player can evade an attack. There are 4 ways. Most basic is a simple dodge. This will give the most iframes and let the team miss attacks. The disadvantage is that no counter damage is applied. Next is parrying. Generally, I would recommend dodging first until you get the timings right, then go for parries. Most bosses will have 3+ attacks in a combo, and all attacks have to be parried in order for a counter attack to occur. This pairs really well with Verso and Mael. Verso when he is in S tier, and Mael when she is in Virtuoso stance. Jumping is a bit more scarce, but is indicated by a unique glowing glyph. The team has to jump, cannot dodge or parry this attack. The final way the player can evade an attack is by countering with a gradient attack. Similar to the aforementioned point, this is indicated by the screen going black and white. Boss can do 1 or more of these in a sequence, so it's the player's job to stay alert, paying attention to what's next. Subsequently, let's briefly talk about the differences in the player's stats. The player can upgrade their level, from health all the way to critical chance. This is similar to going to the Firekeeper in the Dark Souls series and leveling up that way. Next are Pictos. These are equipable perk slots that each team member can equip. Think of these as Talisman in Elden Ring, or rings as such in Dark Souls, though there is a bit more to it. First is that the Pictos will have an effect. The player gets to take an extra turn, and so on. Lastly, it has some sort of bonus attached to it, whether it be health increase or speed. The final thing is Luminas. As the player goes through the game, they will find various purple items throughout the open world. Some may be colors of Lumina. These will let the player grant a level to an Expedition 33 team member. Why do you want to level these up? When the player equips Pictos, they slowly level up that specific one. Ultimately, when it reaches the max level, it is then taught to the other party members. For instance, each character can have 30+ Lumina abilities that greatly enhance themselves. One awesome thing that the player will experience as they go through the game is the music. The hype, sad, EDM, and other soundtracks greatly enhance the player's experience. Intense moments, like in certain boss battles, the player gets to hear some soundtracks that get you hyped to take them down. In cinematic cutscenes, when emotions of characters need to be elevated, saddening music can be a helpful tool. Now, it could go on and on for hours about team synergies within the game, but I'll focus on CL being the main star of this roster. Essentially, I would only use her to buff Verso and Mael's damage, alongside giving them extra turns. By this point in the game, I had each character to a really high level. For CL, I put most of her points into speed, so she would take turns super often, and thus would help to get a ton of damage in. Prepping the boss with Defenseless, Mael and Virtuoso stance, and then with double damage from CL's ability, homaging any boss destroys them 90+% of the time. Last thing I'll talk about in this section are the boss fights. I really enjoyed and/or were tough as heck. The tower ending with the Paintress and the Painter. This was crazy fun but difficult. Especially after 32 other levels in the tower, this was one heck of a way to end the gauntlet. Not gonna lie, Clea messed me up more than I care to admit. I was, and still am, quite bad at timing her attacks. Compared to every other boss, she heals after each attack, but pairing is necessary for success. Oh gosh, Simon. Easily the coolest enemy in the whole game. Similarly to Artorias, this guy fights the team in a weakened state, but really he is powerful as heck. This was one of the few times in the turn-based game where I was like, can I please have a turn? Because yeah, this boss has insane speed. Words cannot express this boss's difficulty and brutality. These were some of the many gameplay features in Expedition 33, going into some detail. While there are other things that could be mentioned, I found these to be the most important to cover. As with any game, there are going to be bugs and glitches. Fortunately, with this game, I had very few. More importantly, no game-breaking ones. Unlike Jedi Survivor, which forced me to skip an entire area, which was needed for the 100%. Most of the bugs were minor things. Character floating on the bridge that collapsed from a previous cutscene, characters spinning in circles, and so on. Found that the game ran well, alongside rendering good at distances. Yet once again, very fortunate this isn't like Cyberpunk on launch, so if you purchase this game, you will in fact get a playable game. Now, as I was writing the script, specifically this section, the game actually released an update, so I decided to scrap what I wrote in place for this. Expedition 33 had a minor update where the player can go to a new location and fight a few enemies, a way of the developers thanking the player base for their love and support since release, and also since, they won Game of the Year. Originally, I was going to talk about my hopes for the future and for this game, but as I think about it, I almost hope that they don't make a sequel. Why, you may ask? Well, in almost every circumstance, sequels to games have far more expectations that deliver far less. This isn't the case for all games and media, idea, it could be argued that in the Alien series, the second was better than the first. Now, I'm not totally against it, and it would be awesome to get another game if they planned it out well. I'd rather get more DLCs than a whole game. Especially with this whole painting worldscape, they have limitless possibilities. If they were to make another game, it would be interesting to see them focus on the writers rather than painters, as they briefly mention them a handful of times throughout the story. I'm curious to hear your thoughts though. Should the team make another game like Expedition 33? Do they continue the series following the events of the game, or just do a bunch of beefy DLCs? I'd be really interested to read your comments below. Now, the final thing I'll talk about in this review is the 100% section, where I went through and got all the trophies. This is something new that I started when I went through Jedi Survivor. I feel that experiencing all the game has to offer leads to a more honest and well-rounded opinion / review. For instance, in Jedi Survivor, if I didn't collect all 200 plus seeds in the game, I would have thought it was a much better experience than it was. But it was at times an Assassin's Creed clone, having the player go around the map for like 200 plus different things, and then, you know, like going from the north back down to the south, back north, and like you're just going one place to the next, and it's fun, but it just gets tedious. After I finished my first playthrough, explored around, and felt satisfied to move on, I made a list for the final trophies. About half can be obtained just by going through the game normally, the other require a bit more work. From helping each of the Nevrons in their side quests, collecting all music discs, there's a lot of things to do. Won't go through all of them, but we'll talk about the two that gave me the biggest trouble. First was the expedition journals. These are journals from past expeditions meant to help future travelers. Most are found inside pathways and can be easily obtained. Unfortunately, one is locked behind a door that needs a key from the prologue. That was slightly frustrating, to be honest. Not as frustrating as the next one. The second difficulty when getting all the trophies turned out not actually to be difficult? Let me explain. There are 33 music tracks in the game. Some can be bought from merchants, found in specific areas meant for the disc, alongside other ways. Initially, I'd collected what I thought was every music disc except Lumiere, which as it turns out was from the prologue. At the time, I was frustrated and just said whatever, since I already needed to restart for the expedition journals, as I mentioned previously for the key. Little did I know that I could have gone to the Opera House getting the later version of that same disc. The next mistake was on my second playthrough. I didn't get the cutscene in between the Axon fights, as I was beelining it to the end in order to get all the discs. And because of this, I missed one of Mael's music discs. This was an instance where it was necessary to restart, so the third playthrough was in order. Eventually, after a long but fun journey, it all comes to an end, as I pick up the final music disc, collecting all trophies in the game. While it was far less intrusive than other games' 100%, there were a few times where things were quite tedious. Ultimately, I did have a lot of fun going through the game as a whole. Would recommend getting all the trophies, though just remember, grab the key, that there are 2 Lumiere discs. To conclude the review, I'll give my thoughts. Is Expedition 33 worth playing? Yes, yes, and yes. This is a game that truly respects its fans and the creative work that goes into a story of this magnitude. A story that is gripping while being incredibly fresh and new. The turn-based combat was fun, figuring out the best ways to optimize turns and damage. In the future, I plan to do some challenge runs on this game, so let me know if you would like to see this, alongside some ideas you might have. I have another review that has been in the works for a while, but this game far outshone that one, and other videos I want to make, so I pushed this one far ahead. Let's just say in the upcoming weeks, expect that. Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, Expedition 33 did really well at the Game Awards and it totally deserved it. Would definitely recommend this game, but I would say it's my top 5, maybe even top 3 games of all time. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. This greatly helps to support me and the channel, alongside pushing the video to others who may be interested. Try to do something kind for someone today, whether it's a small or large gesture. This is your boy Skilled Fawn, and I'm out.